quick disclaimer before we start laughing at the most unhinged Xbox fanboys. If you're simply a fan of the console, you've maybe built up a library on the platform, and you're worried about losing it, you're concerned about having to start again on PS5 or PC, I do feel sorry for you. That would suck, having to start from the beginning, but let's be real, it was probably inevitable. Game Pass, the direction of Microsoft with their exclusives, it wasn't looking good. But again, there are some people who've gone perhaps a little bit over the top here. Yeah, it might be sad if your favorite platform, the Xbox, is possibly going to disappear, at least how you've known it before. And starting off here, we've got Mr. Boomstick XL of Double Barrel Gaming. I don't really know who that is, but he says he was unable to sleep over the news that Xbox games might land on PlayStation, retelling a story of how he woke up at 2 a.m. and he couldn't get back to sleep for hours, leading to him feeling exhausted and down the following morning, as he explained to his wife's boyfriend over a cup of coffee. This is distressing. I can understand how he feels. I mean, if Steam was to go out of business, I'd be very upset. But yeah, if we're talking about being part of a cult, this might be it. It's gonna be okay. It's only Xbox. It's all gonna be all right. We've got here someone else, exactly the same, Xbox Era. It's the co-founder of Xbox Era. And I recognize that name because I remember when they gave Starfield Game of the Year, and some glitch on their website had Baldur's Gate 3 as a -2 out of 10. I don't know if it was out of salt or if it was just a mistake, but they say the same thing. Genuinely had trouble sleeping last night. Let's see what the week brings. Well, I don't think the week's going to bring you good news, unfortunately. Phil didn't dispel the rumors, he basically reinforced them, and I think it's all going to be correct that Xbox are basically going third party. Now, this one is good because we've got the real fans now, the people who are still defending Microsoft. Gamers Geeks Todd, this is an Xbox fanboy of some sort who got very upset. Basically, this user here, they let it be known that they were selling their Xbox. And this fan who was so upset with his rage about the recent news of Xbox not having exclusives anymore, he blocked this person purely for mentioning that they were selling their Xbox. How sad! Now, not everyone has reacted too positively to the news. We've, of course, got that original announcement from Phil. To refresh, he said, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." And business update, the future, this doesn't sound too good. And Popo, he's furious to hear that Xbox has gone third party. "In frustration, I ended up smashing my Xbox Series X. Not the reaction I'm proud of, but it's tough seeing a brand I love making such a drastic change." And yeah, it's not looking good for this particular Series X. And is this real? Probably not. But I imagine that there are some fans who genuinely have gone a little bit over the top like this. Poor them. Now, this one might be the best I have ever seen. So basically, back in March of last year, so before Starfield came out, this person, look at him with his hat, he's all excited to play Bethesda's next masterpiece. He said back then, "I'm going to have at least 10% more fun with Starfield, knowing a PlayStation version once existed, but it was scrapped." Stop port begging, it's done. Sony was outplayed by Microsoft. Now, this is obviously dumb on many levels, even ignoring what's happening now. The game came out and it was a total dud. PlayStation fans were thinking, phew, I've dodged a bullet there. We don't have to play this garbage. This person was bragging about it. He thought this was going to be the magnum opus. Sony have missed out. So that's that side of it, but now the game is actually coming to PlayStation. It's all but confirmed. Phil didn't deny it. You know what that probably means. So now, a couple of days ago, someone actually called him out and brought this post back up and said, "Ayo, remember this?" The worst thing is the guy's doubling down on it. This would be the perfect time to just be like, "Yeah, you know, I was wrong. The game sucked. Now look at what's happening. Jesus." But instead, he says, technically, I already beat the game thinking that to be true at the time. So you can't take that away now that I already beat it. I'm not even going to break down the logic, but the short of it is, he's not embarrassed by this. He's still sticking to it. Now this one, you might know Reset Era. If you know that forum, this is not going to surprise you. Someone literally said Xbox. They posted Xbox, and they got a week's ban from the forum for trolling and platform warring, and that is Xbox with an EX, as in it's not going to exist anymore. Very, very sad for these fans. This is where it gets a bit unhinged. We've got a long rant here where someone says, if we lose another console to PlayStation, referring to Xbox, I hope you PlayStation peeps know what you're doing, because if you thought arrogant Sony wouldn't resurrect, I've got a bridge to sell you. If you don't know what arrogant Sony means, Google it. It's well documented. We fought arrogant Sony off once before, we may not be able to do it again. Now, I believe arrogant Sony refers to how when they're having some success in the market, they make bad decisions. It's kind of like Nintendo, where they had a lot of success with the Wii initially, and then they just stuffed everything up. Usually it kind of refers to just ripping off the core fans, because it's like, we're making so much money, let's double down on it by charging our fans more, and the person's probably just thinking, oh, if Xbox is out of the market, they've got no more competition, they can start to rip us off. I don't really understand that thinking, because the Switch exists. It might be serving a slightly different market, but if they're releasing a Switch 2 later this year, it can probably have a lot of, maybe some of the PS5 games on it, I'm not sure. But then, of course, you've got the PC. It's more popular than ever. Steam is popping off. There's some other stores like God, Epic, I don't know about that, but it's still doing extremely well. I think Capcom mentioned that they're making more money off PC game sales than console at the moment, or at least PlayStation 5 as far as I know. So it's doing well. It is genuine competition. So I think that's where it's going to be, probably PlayStation versus PC. That's all right. But they go on to say, remember when they raised PS Plus prices? Oh, too recent? Remember they tried to sell you a $600 console in 2006? Remember when they said you'd have to get 2 jobs to buy 1 console? I don't remember that. Did they actually say, if you can't afford it, get a second job? All right, interesting. They are going to slap your ass, whisper in your ear, and comb your hair all day from next week forward. I hope you're ready, and don't complain either like some of you all do with the late Dreamcast. Don't act like you all of a sudden miss the Xbox console when it's gone. Keep that same energy you all have now. Make jokes, laugh all day, laugh at me, you'll see. Arrogant Sony is going to absolutely torch your asses. You're going to wish the competition didn't blow out when they're done with you. How's that funny? When Demon Sony starts ripping you apart and you're screaming, don't come running. Thanks. He finishes with thanks. Now, I don't know what I just read, but they're not happy. This person seems concerned that Sony, PlayStation, they're going to conjure up spirits from hell. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, we've got all the people who are selling their consoles. They heard the news, it's over, it's totally time to move on. So this person, they went down to GameStop, which is called EB Games in my country, and this is it, Xbox gone. They're getting the money while they can, because maybe a day will come where if the Xbox console is basically dead, they might not even be able to sell these games. Resident Evil, Dark Souls, Red Dead Redemption, they're not going to get any money for them because there's no Xboxes to even turn on. Oh no, get in while you can. What a smart cookie. So these people, they're taking the money and running. They're done with the Xbox ecosystem. Now, I mentioned unhinged. This one is beyond that. So this is Stain, who seems to be some sort of Microsoft or Xbox engineer. He works for Xbox, is the short of it. He's an employee. And he just mentioned on Twitter, I'd ruined my sleep schedule for Master Chief. And then an Xbox fan who is not happy. Someone else is being kept up late at night because of the recent news. They say, I hope you sleep and never wake up. I wonder what he thought after writing that. You're wishing death on people because the games are going third party. Very interesting mindset. And then just to finish, we've got, of course, someone else with a bit of a rant. You Nintendo and Sony fans are to blame. You all refused to support the third wheel, Xbox, and now you're going to have to reap what you sowed. Higher console prices, less innovation, and less urgency. When did Xbox innovate? You're talking about backwards compatibility? Who really cares? I mean, all I want from that is an emulator on PC. I don't care about playing Xbox Series on yet another Xbox. Put that emulator on PC. That's how you'll preserve those games. Innovation? Game Pass? Is that meant to be a monetization innovation? I mean, the subscription for entertainment services, it's been around for a long time now. It doesn't seem to work very well. We're seeing the flaws with like Netflix and Disney Plus, all of this crap where you've got to subscribe to 20 different services to get all of the shows and movies. No one's really liking it. It seems to be on a downhill trend. So innovation? Come on. Sure, you may now have more access to a wider selection of games, but at what price? The long-term landscape may forever be doomed, and the guilt will not easily be washed away with marathon sessions of Halo and Forza. I can't remember the last time I did a marathon session of Halo. I played Infinite. Pretty boring. The content was sparse. It was just like a Ubisoft kind of open world. Don't think that's going to happen even if the games come to PlayStation. But he signs off here. He finishes with, "There's digital blood on your hands." Shame! Oh, where we're all guilty because we didn't support Xbox. Very, very upsetting. Hey, they mentioned Nintendo and Sony. They didn't mention PC at all. If we're talking about a third wheel, a fourth wheel, what about PC? Don't forget us. PC gaming is what is going to save this. If there's any genuine concerns that PlayStation is actually going to be a monopoly, unfounded. Move to PC if you're concerned about that. It's somewhat of an open platform. You could say that Steam kind of have a monopoly, but it's not the worst position because at least Steam is ran quite well. It's a private company, so it's not as if Gabe is having to answer to shareholders. He can do what he wants. Now, I'm not naive. That will probably change one day, whether Gabe retires, hands over the reins. I'm very frightened for that day, but just by PC being an open platform to an extent, I feel like eventually things will be okay. There was the Epic Store. Horrible. The reason for it is Steam's strategy is putting the consumer first, whereas Epic's strategy was putting the consumer last and trying to suck up to developers. That doesn't work. If the customers aren't happy, they're not going to care that you're compensating game developers. You're giving them, oh, we're only taking 5% or 10%, 15%, whatever it friggin' is now. That doesn't matter to the average customer. They want a fair deal, and they want to have a good service on your platform. You are missing features. You haven't bothered to add them even now, years later. You seem to think service doesn't matter. If you're just giving away free games, it's going to save you. Well, I'll tell you this. Gamers on PC don't care about free titles because if we wanted those, we could get them via piracy. If we're buying games, then we do expect convenience. Right now, Steam is doing it. Even other stores like GOG, they at least have a point of difference. DRM free. I can download all the games whenever I want right onto my computer. I don't have to use a launcher. And that way, if the storefront ever dies, which sadly could happen, I don't know how well it's going for GOG, then at least I'm not going to lose my games. That is nice. Epic provides nothing, but long term, I think PC will continue to evolve in terms of maybe different options for where we can buy our games, all of that sort of stuff. I don't think it's going to be a monopoly, but we've seen the reaction. Blood on our hands, according to the Xbox fanboys, that it's going to be a long week for them. We'll see what happens, but always interesting to look at. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.